I'm Michael Fox, and this is Prospector Podcast. And I'm joined today by Mike Allen, the president and CEO of StrikePoint Gold. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Great, good to be here.
Yeah, it was nice to see you in New York last week. Your schedule and my schedule didn't overlap very well, so we put off recording this until we both got back home today. But for those who aren't familiar with StrikePoint Gold, let's give them the 10,000 foot view of the company and what you're doing.
Okay, StrikePoint is a Walker Lane exploration company. We're the fourth or fifth largest landholder in the Walker Lane, with probably about 140 square kilometers under control. Two assets. The first asset that we got in Nevada is something called Cuprite. It's down just south of Goldfield, Nevada. And then more recently, we acquired what's called the Hercules Gold Project up near Reno or Dayton, Nevada. It's a 100 square kilometer land package, low sulfidation epithermal, and we just put our first drill program into it under the StrikePoint banner in early 2025.
Yeah, and it's a property that you're actually quite familiar with, Hercules, having worked on it in the past.
Yeah, that's right. I had it in another life, for lack of a better term. Yeah, and we actually were that other life. We were the group that assembled the land package, got the 100 square kilometers dealt with and put together, and then we were able to sell it off. And the value of the asset in the merger was $25 million US, and we bought it back for $250,000 Canadian. There's a few things that I liked about doing the transaction. Obviously, to sell something for 25 and then buy it back for 250,000 is a 25 million and buy it back for 250,000. I mean, it's a good deal. We saw the value there. And then the other thing that I enjoyed with it is when I had it before, we created a new geological model, new geological interpretation, and then we got to go and test it with our 7 holes that we put into it this spring.
Yeah, it was interesting. When we were in New York, there was somebody that did their presentation, and they were the fourth holder of the land package. And they said that the nice thing being the fourth holder is you got to learn from everybody else. So this is a similar situation, except you got to own it twice, so you get to kind of learn from what you learned from before.
Well, yeah, and I mean there was sort of a 5-year hiatus, for lack of a better term, where yeah, it wasn't obviously the forefront of my day-to-day life, my wife, my family, my kid, but it was something that you could sort of sit on a Sunday afternoon and think about, and just like, if I had that thing again, what would I do differently, or what would I do now, knowing what I know? And so, I mean, it was actually a nice program that we did. We went 7 for 7, and that new interpretation held together quite nicely.
Yeah, now this is a pretty large land package. You've got targets in the north part of the property, targets in the south part of the property. These 7 holes, where were they located in the space of this land package?
It was in the northern part of the property, so we focused on 3 sub-targets within the overall project. There's what's called the Hercules target. It got 5 holes into that. Cliffs got a single hole, and then we tested a geochem anomaly in a target that we call Loaves. Yeah, so the drilling that we saw, I mean, the most key holes were hole 5, 6, and 7, actually, the last 3. And 5 was the southernmost of the holes that we put into the Hercules target. And what that showed is there's a near surface structure that we hit, and it put up 10 meters of, I'm going to call it 1.1, 1.2 grams per ton, starting at 0. And then further down the hole, it hit about 35 meters of about 0.4 grams per ton. We were drilling sort of down slope, so it's not as deep as you would anticipate. But importantly, it shows that the southern end of the Hercules Gold target is open. And then hole 6, it's a similar sort of thing. We were testing the Cliffs target, and again with the new interpretation, drilling it east to west. we were able pretty much to call the shot, know where the mineralization was going to be encountered. And that one hit 117 meters at 0.45, I believe, grams per ton with a good silver kick in there. I believe the number was about 9 grams per ton. And again, that's the southernmost intercept. And when you actually, I was out there afterwards and I was looking at the drill holes and laying them out in my mind, and it really makes a big difference. Cliffs, it's wide open. There's probably to the south of where that intercept is, there's another 300 meters of vein that you can see sticking out at surface, and then it gets buried under cover. And then to the north, there's probably about 1,500 meters, and then it goes under, again, also goes under cover. But there's a lot of strike length that's never been drilled properly with the new interpretation. So it sort of is an opportunity to rediscover the Hercules Gold Project now that we've got a geological model that's dialed in.
Yeah, this sounds like it's got a pretty lengthy strike to it, from
Well,
south to north.
yeah, I mean the thing that is really interesting about Hercules when you get down there is the scale of it. Like it's not just a scrappy showing here there. You can get a little bit of gold at surface or whatever in one little isolated outcrop. It's big, and the alteration system is big. The structures are big. The strike length is big, and there's multiple structures that you need to test. So it is interesting. And then the other thing that if you ever take a look at the property position, there is a big neighbor in the area.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that part. Yeah, you do have a big neighbor in the south, but so you drilled these 7 holes. You
Yep.
hit 7 of 7. You got a summer drill program. Is that going to be up in the northern part of the property as well? And how big is the drill program?
Well, what we're at right now is we're sort of at the drill planning stage. My preference is to get into the south, and the southern part of the project is a bit tougher to access, but there's actually some really compelling targets there. I was looking at the maps when I was down on site with the guys of what they've done, and there's a vein in the south that is 2.6 kilometers long that you can pan gold out of, and it's never been drilled properly or drilled at all for that matter, as far as we can tell. So, I mean, when you put that into context, you're looking at something sort of the scale of the Comstock, which was about 8 million ounces of gold, and I'm going to call it 70. No, it's probably 170 million ounces of silver. That system is the same sort of thing, ring structures, but it's a bit further to the west of us. So you're definitely in elephant country, and definitely need to go after these targets. And there's dozens more in the south.
Yeah, and speaking of elephants, in that southern part of the property that you're talking about, there's a former mine located within there that's under control of Newmont, which is, I guess, the elephant in your own backyard.
Yeah, and it's an interesting piece of history. That piece of property is called Como. In the literature, there's the Como district, and Newmont got that piece in the Frontier transaction when they bought Frontier Gold for the Long Canyon project out east of Elko. They got a whole smattering of things in Nevada that came from Frontier, and so they're out there. And interestingly, Newmont is back in Nevada. A few years ago, they quasi exited the state. They did a deal with Barrick to create an entity called Nevada Gold Mines. It's a JV for all the Barrick and Newmont operations, and Barrick was the operator. So Newmont largely left Nevada alone. And this is also, in my past lifetime, and I was trying to acquire that piece of property, and nobody on the Newmont side really knew what it wasn't willing to make a deal. They were sort of in a bit of shock. And then I obviously sold Hercules off for that $25 million transaction. When I got it back, you start revigorating the conversation with Newmont, and you find out that it's not the Newmont from 5 years ago. They've subsequently done a deal with Newcrest and inherited a Nevada team. And so there's a bunch of guys, Newmont guys now running around Nevada with their boots on the ground, and they're doing JVs, they're spending money, they're looking for things. And when you compare what we've got at Hercules with what Newmont has invested and continues to invest in Nevada, they're similar. And so they're trying to look for those scales, those tier one assets, those big things, as well as everybody else, and they are definitely back in Nevada. So it's interesting to have them active and a donut hole inside of us.
Have they been doing any work within that donut hole recently, or is it something that's maybe on their radar, maybe not on their radar?
It's on their radar. When I've talked to the new Newmont guys, they've got a lot of projects that they're trying to sort out what they are. And they literally, from going back to 2010, that Frontier transaction, there were dozens of other different projects littered around the states that they inherited as part of that, and they're going through the file. And it's sort of a bit of a positive feedback loop. They're going through the file, trying to look at things and looking for stuff, and then they're seeing us, and I'm going through the door, talking to them and saying, "Hey, what do you want to do about this thing?" And so, there's been some very interesting conversations, and we'll hopefully get them out to site sometime soon and figure out what the path forward is.
Yeah. Now, Newmont, as you've said, has kind of inherited this site from Frontier. Is there historical data from Frontier that's going to help you choose where the drills are going to go and turn this summer?
Yeah, there is a data set that's out there, and this is public data. What it is on the Como ground is there's a sort of an east-west structure, and they mined and drilled right up to the property boundary. And there were some significant hits right quite close to the property boundary. So there's a trend going onto our ground, and we refer to that as the Como Comets target. We do have a permit for drilling out that way, but we also have permits for drilling to do on that 2.5 kilometer vein that sticks out of the surface, and probably they're the same structure, just melding together.
So your plan is permitted. Have you set a budget for drilling this year, and how many holes are you hoping to get in this summer?
Yeah, the board meeting is this afternoon, so let me get back to you on that one, Mike.
Okay. So as much as the board will give you to drill is the answer at this stage.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. But the plan is to concentrate on the southern part of the property as opposed to the northern part of the property.
Well, it's sort of the devil that one of the bits of feedback that I've had from various big cos that have looked at Hercules is they're encouraging us to go into the south. And there's other groups that are around. This is Nevada, and everybody is around. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody looks over the fence at everybody else, and people are like, the northern part is interesting, but you got to give that southern part a kick. And so, hearing the feedback, it's like, okay, let's see what we can do here, because the northern part is sort of, I'm starting to view it as sort of the backstop of value. We did an exploration target up there. And it gives you a range of tons, grade, ounces that you can possibly expect if you have exploration success. It's sort of like a resource without any thought of economic extraction. And it ranges between 0.48 grams per ton and 0.63 grams per ton. So typical Nevada heap leach grades, and somewhere between 819,000 and 1.02 million ounces. It didn't consider silver, but that sort of says, okay, there's a backstop of value in the north. And if we're going to, for lack of a better term, pop the champagne cork on this property, getting into the south and showing that it can go multi-million ounce fairly quickly, I think is going to be the driver for the market for us.
Yeah, and just to be clear to people, those were back a napkin kind of calculations, not 43-101 compliant calculations.
Yeah, and it is in our we do have a technical report that discusses that exploration target, and it was done by a third party. They went through all the procedures, and somebody can read about it if they want to pull the technical report off our website. It's out there as a public number, so it is real. But the caution is, it's not a resource in the fact that it doesn't give thought to economic extraction. It's just an exploration target. And it is, so you're right, does have that back of the cocktail napkin-ish to it.
Yeah. But as they always say, if you want to find a new mine, go look to where there was an old mine. And you've got a couple of interesting ones in Comstock to the west, and Como, they're right in the middle of your property that is somebody else's property, Newmont's.
Yep.
And so as the summer progresses, there's going to be drills turning and results coming, and I look forward to seeing how those progress. It's been good to have you on. If people want to continue to follow the StrikePoint story, how do they do so, Mike?
Yeah, website is strikepointgold.com. You can also reach out to either myself, MA at strikepointgold.com, or our IR guy, who is Knox Henderson, KH at strikepointgold.com.
Yes, and folks, I always say, deal with companies that will answer your calls, and Mike and Knox are outstanding at answering investor calls when they get them. So thanks again for your time. It was good seeing you in New York, and I look forward to our paths crossing again down the road. I think it'd be Beaver Creek in the fall, which maybe I'll see some drill results from you by then.
Hopefully, yep.
Wonderful. Thanks.
All right, take care, Mike.
StrikePoint Gold is a paid sponsor of the Prospector News. The host owns shares and warrants in StrikePoint Gold, bought at the market for investment purposes. The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.